Schoolteacher Juliet Tomlin is accused of indecent assault on a 15-year-old schoolboy. The prosecution has produced 2 letters which she wrote to the boy, who must be called Robin A. in court. His father is now in the witness box.
Now, Mr. A, when did you first become aware that your son had a close relationship with Miss Tomlin?
Close? Yes, I can't give a date. He started being out in the evenings. People started dropping hints. And eventually one night I spoke to him.
Ah, he was coming home at night.
At that time, yes. I spoke to him. I said, "What's all this about you and some school teacher?" I thought quietly, reasonably enough, but he flew into a rage. We had a stand-up row.
The first of many?
Yes.
The first? You'd not been in the habit of quarrelling before this?
No more than any other father and son. It was her influence that spoiled him.
So, as far as you're concerned, the deterioration in your son's character began at about the time he became friendly with Miss Tomlin?
At exactly the time, yes.
Because you felt his character was changing?
He was out all the time. He was answering back. He was being damn rude, in fact. And then he started getting moony and thoughtless.
Moony?
Moony, I mean, never there. Even when he was in, I couldn't get a word out of him. I mean, if I spoke to him, I'd just get a silly grin. Then he'd always been keen to go to college, get some sort of degree. Now suddenly wanted to switch, either not going to university at all or take some arts course. And he wrote things all the time.
Wrote things?
Stories, rhymes. He started a book. I told him if he didn't watch out, he'd end up being a poet or something.
Oh, I see. You are a widower, are you not, Mr. A?
Since 1962, yes.
So that for much of his life you brought up your son alone?
I did.
And how did you get on during his childhood?
Well, I would say.
You were unusually close, were you?
Close, I don't know about unusually.
Did it ever occur to you that he might miss the company of a woman, a mother?
There were neighbours. I had a sort of nanny for him for a while.
But he must have missed a deep relationship, perhaps enough to be particularly vulnerable to the interest and affection of an older woman.
Well, obviously. And it grieves me. If I'd known it would turn out like this, I would have married again.
For his sake?
Yes.
I see. Now, for some time you have believed, have you not? Indeed, you've allowed yourself no doubt at all that Miss Tomlin seduced your son.
No doubt at all.
You've convinced yourself of it. You believe it.
Well, of course I do. I don't know what she'll say. She'll have some version since she's defending it. But make no mistake, this was no palsy-walsy teacher taken with a clever pupil, or even a child with a crush on the teacher. This was a deep, fixed, dirty love affair.
Dirty? Because of the difference in their ages?
She's a child. She seduced him.
When you began to think this, what steps did you take to end it?
Well, to try and end it, anything, everything. I tried to talk him out of it. I stopped his pocket money. I forbade him to see her. I made him account for his time. I even went to his headmaster. I tried everything. Nothing
succeeded.
Well, she won, didn't she? She counted me at every turn. I think she even gave him money. Anyway, she went right on seeing him.
Over what period? Weeks, months, how long?
Months, about 3 months, till I was at my wit's end. Of course, what I did was wrong.
What was wrong?
Well, I was to forbid it. It just made him more stubborn. It made him hate me. I should have... Well, I don't know. I tried to reason with him. I tried to understand. I can't. I mean, it's wrong. No one can deny that, even if I've lost my son. It's immoral. An older woman with a young child. I can't be wrong. Even the law says it's wrong. If it was the other way around, if it had been a schoolmaster with a young girl, he'd be in jail by now.
And this case is brought, is it not, simply because society feels that children must be protected?
Yes.
And you yourself feel it so very strongly that we have heard you've applied to the juvenile court to have your own son taken into the care of the local authority.
I believe the term is a fit person order, under which he would still be in my charge and control.
But he may be taken into care, put into a home, or anything the court sees fit.
Well, this is a private business which shouldn't have come out here. In fact, I've instructed my solicitors to see if we can't withdraw the application. He's my son. I didn't know what else to do at the time. It's my problem. He's my son. I love him for all his faults.
Mr. A, you know your son will be called upon to give evidence.
Yes.
And you know that his version of these events may be very different from yours.
I don't know, perhaps.
Will you allow that two or more people may see the same thing and see it, describe it as totally different things?
A fact is a fact.
You're a very rigid man, aren't you, sir?
No.
You said of Miss Tomlin, she won, she countered me at every turn.
Yes.
You said, I asked her to make him come home.
Pleased to make him come home.
Where was Robin in all this?
I don't understand you.
She won. Make him. Had Robin no choice? You make him sound like a prize in a lottery. Did he have no choice in the matter?
He'd had his choice.
And he had chosen, but chosen wrongly.
Yes.
But that is not a choice, is it? He's free to choose as long as he chooses your way.
For God's sake, you can't claim that it's right.
That depends entirely on what it is, doesn't it? Now, this happy, close childhood you say Robin had, do you think he'll agree it was truly like that?
If he tells the truth, yes.
Why? Does he sometimes not tell the truth?
He used not to lie ever.
But now he does.
Yes.
During all this, he must have lied to you many times.
Or more shadings of the truth.
And sometimes downright lies.
Yes.
And sometimes wishful thinking. Sometimes stories he wished were true, so vivid to this imaginative boy that he believes them true.
He was brought up to respect the truth.
He was a happy child, was he?
Yes, he was.
Sometimes naughty?
Sometimes.
And how did you correct him?
Well, however was appropriate.
How?
I seldom beat him, if that's what you mean.
How did you punish him for lying?
Well, in different ways.
How?
Not read a bedtime story, stop his pocket money, send him off to bed.
Well, presumably that ceased to work by the time he was 15.
When he was a child.
Did you ever make him take a mouthful of dry mustard for telling a lie and hold it in his mouth until he wept from the pain?
I did, yes.
I imagine you are no great believer in modern psychology, Mr. A.
I'm not sure that it works.
Did mustard? You see, I'm going to suggest to you that exactly your sort of punishment might lead an imaginative, sensitive boy to dislike your kind of truth and to escape more and more into his own world of dreams.
I'm afraid that's all a bit speculative for me.
But yet you have admitted he's now a downright liar.
I don't think I said that.
Oh, indeed you did, sir. You also said, and I quote, "If I had known it would turn out like this, I'd have married again, for his sake."
Yes.
Not for your own.
Well,
Why not?
I never met anybody...
Who you wanted to marry?
Yes.
Who compared to your wife?
Yes.
You loved her very much, did you?
Yes.
And in more than a decade, you never found anybody else who could live up to your very high standards?
Really, my lord, where are these impertinent questions taking us?
Well, they have taken me exactly where I want to go. Now, I merely want to ask this witness if, in fact, he doesn't like women very much at all.
And what is the purpose of that?
Why, my lord, to establish that he actively dislikes women.
I don't think I can permit that question.
Very well, my lord. Thank you.
His lordship has ruled, Robin, that you should be referred to as Master Robin A. here. Now, would you please write down your name and address on this piece of paper? Good. Now, we also must not name the school involved. The school you have now left. You must answer my questions, Robin.
I didn't know it was a question.
Have you changed schools?
Yes.
And Miss Tomlin has also left that school now? And your father has left his job as well?
Yes.
All because of your relationship with Miss Tomlin. Do you regret what happened between you?
No.
It was worth it, was it?
Yes.
You're a bit of a Lothario, aren't you?
A what?
Something of a Romeo with your Juliet.
No.
No? Well, you've heard from Miss Kitely. She had a soft spot for you. She was kidded about you. And Miss Tomlin, who felt... Well, what exactly did she feel for you?
Ask her.
I'm asking you.
Young man, you must answer counsel.
Look, he's just trying to get me going.
Whatever the truth about your activities, there can be no doubt they've been the source of a lot of trouble and anxiety to a number of other people. The least you can do now is to behave civilly and answer the questions that are put to you.
I'm obliged, my lord. Now, Robin, it is established that you had a close relationship with Miss Tomlin. Now, what did Miss Tomlin say she felt for you?
Felt? Feel she still loves me?
You think she loves you?
Yes.
And you love her?
Yes.
And what about your father? Do you love him?
I don't know.
Does he love you, do you think?
Probably.
Well, if your father loves you, all this must be causing him some pain, wouldn't you say? Well, it's rather like trying to get blood out of a stone, but would you try to answer that question?
Yes, it caused him pain.
Do you regret that?
Yes.
But not so much that you would give up a liaison, to use a neutral word, a liaison which you knew caused him grief?
No.
What's happened between you now? Are you still seeing each other?
No.
Will you see each other again?
I don't know.
Well, if your father goes on with his application to have you declared in need of care and attention, you won't be able to see her again, will you?
Yes, I will.
Well, how will that be?
Nothing lasts forever.
Oh, you mean when you're adult, you'll be able to be in charge of your own life?
Well, look, when I'm 16, things will be easier.
And again, by the time you are grown up, your feelings might have changed, mightn't they?
No.
Oh, your love for Miss Tomlin is so certain and deep that it will never, ever change.
Yes.
How about hers for you?
I don't know.
What do you think?
Look, I don't know.
There wouldn't be very much point for you to devote your life and your future to a love which was going to be one-sided, would there?
No.
So what will you do when this is all over?
Look, when this is all over, we'll get back together again.
Robin, no.
We'll get back together again.
Which of you began the relationship?
It was mutual.
At first you were just friends.
Yes.
How soon did it develop into a love affair?
My lord, my learned friend must know the utter impropriety of that question. Furthermore, love affair implies there was love making. There's been nothing to prove this took place. Indeed, my client strenuously denies it took place.
I agree. That question cannot be allowed, Mr. Lotterman.
Very well, my lord. Robin, were you and Miss Tomlin ever lovers in the full sense of the word? Lovers physically?
Yes.
You made love to Miss Tomlin. You had sexual intercourse with her.
Yes.
How often?
Lots of times.
Master A, you do know the meaning of those words. You do understand what it is to have sexual intercourse with another person?
Look, Queen Victoria's dead.
Go on, Mr. Lotterby.
My lord. When you stayed with Miss Tomlin on the night of July the 7th and 8th, did anyone else stay the night?
No.
Did you and Miss Tomlin have sexual intercourse on either of those nights?
Both.
Whereabouts?
If you mean we were standing up, no.
Whereabouts? In her bed, in her room?
Yes.
Now we come to the two letters, exhibits 1 and 2, please. Do you recognize those letters?
Of course.
They were written by Miss Tomlin to you.
Yes.
If I've made you a man, I'm glad. Did she make a man of you?
What do you mean?
What does made you a man mean to you?
Well, don't you know?
Now, please answer me. Those words have a sexual connotation, as you well know.
My lord, the Crown is leading the witness again.
No, I don't think so, Miss Lewis. The question, though direct, does not call for a particular answer.
Robin, do the words made you a man have a sexual meaning for you?
Of course.
Thank you. Now I ask again, did you have intercourse? Did she make a man of you? And is that what the letter referred
Look,
to?
it's obvious.
Robin, why are you doing this?
Miss Lewis, your client must remain silent.
My lord, you will understand these questions are deeply distressing to my client.
I do understand, Miss Lewis.
Robin, just one last matter. We've heard your father suggest that you are not a truthful person. Is that so?
Well, I'm not George Washington. You had to lie to my father even to talk to him.
Are you lying now?
No.
Have you lied to us at all here today?
No.
Is there anything, any part of your evidence that you've invented? Is there anything you've exaggerated or shaded to give us anything less than the whole literal truth?
No.
You've told us on oath the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, Robin, what subjects do you like best? Have you taken your O-levels yet?
Next month.
What in?
Well, maths, physics, chemistry. Too many science subjects.
And you're really more interested in art subjects, aren't you? Writing, painting, and so on?
Not painting so much, no.
You started a novel, haven't you?
Yes, about...
About what?
Oh, nothing, just an idea.
Do you read a lot?
Yes.
What sort of things?
All sorts, anything you can get hold of. No, I wasn't allowed...
You weren't...
I was going to say I wasn't allowed to read very much when I was younger, but...
But now you have the school library. Juliet lends you books.
Yes.
And poetry?
I read a lot.
Your father said if you weren't careful, you'd end up a poet. Do you like Hesperides?
Oh, Juliet, she reads...
Reads Hesperides with you?
Yes.
Robin, what happened between you and your father? What do you think went wrong?
I don't know. What I mean is, what can I say? He's in the court.
And you don't want to hurt him anymore?
I don't have to hurt him anymore.
Well, I think maybe you do, just a bit, to enable us all to understand.
Well, it's just that we're different. He doesn't know what I'm about. He tries, yes, but he thinks things and I just can't go along with them. Well, like discipline, short back and sides, send the blacks back where they came from. If a country gets cut off and rigid and always thinks it's wrong, right, whatever, I don't know, it starts to die a bit. Perhaps it's Juliet's words, but it's right.
You're not just talking about a country, are you? You mean your father, too? Did you start growing apart from your father just because of Juliet?
Look, I've got to find things out for myself. Have friends. Some of my friends were mistakes, okay, but they were mine. I gave them up. But not her, not Juliet.
Your father brought you up mostly by himself, didn't he?
Yes.
Not the way you'd bring up a child.
Look, he did his best. He never did anything out of spite or anything. He did what he thought was right. But
always stern, strict. Not enough loving, playing about, laughing, cuddling.
You sound like Marjorie Proops.
Yes. Yes, I do a bit. But there is some truth in it just the same. Too many inhibitions.
Yes.
So when somebody came along who'd grown up in a big family, who knew how to laugh and be silly and warm, who showed you books to read, gave you ideas to think about, taught you to stand up for yourself and to your father, taught you to think and feel and be like a man.
I fell in love with her.
You fell in love with her.
Yes.
And what do you think Juliet got out of it? What do you think you gave her back?
I don't know.
Was she lonely?
No.
Unhappy?
No.
Bored?
No.
Inhibited or naive?
No.
Or at all in need of a 15-year-old boy?
She loves me.
Perhaps she does.
She does.
She does. She must.
Yes.
Because you can't bear to think that she might not. But isn't that what all this is about, Robin? Yes, she loves you, but loves you as a dear and trusted friend.
Yes.
But not as a lover.
She does.
Let me finish. Not as a lover. And that's what you can't bear to admit. Because if you admit she is no more than a friend to you, then you are frightened you'll lose her.
No, never.
Robin, it has happened.
No, it hasn't.
Society, the world, your ages, these things drive people apart.
She loves me.
Yes, she loves you, but she is not and never was your lover.
She was!
Robin, do you want Juliet to go to prison? She has her own friends of her own age, her own interests, her own life apart from you. Now I have to ask you to do something very difficult now. You've got to grow up 10 years, here and now. You've got to see that you have lost her already. That you never had her. That you never can have her, not really. And you've got to tell us the truth, here and now. That you and she were never lovers. You were never lovers, were you?
No.
You were never lovers.
You bitch! You tricked me. I didn't mean that. I meant no, I haven't lost her. We were lovers, we were!
In view of that belated answer to your question, you may resume your cross-examination if you wish, Miss Lewis.
No, thank you, my lord. I have no further questions.
My lord, I wonder if you might caution the boy as to the very grave consequences of perjury under oath.
Young man, you are in a court of law. You've taken an oath, which you perfectly well understand, to tell us the truth. Look at me, please. Now, that is what you must do. You must tell us the truth, or take the consequences, which may be very serious indeed. Now, I shall ask you, did you and Miss Tomlin have sexual intercourse?
Yes, we were lovers!
Dr. Penny, you have a medical degree, you are trained psychoanalyst, and you work mainly as a psychotherapist. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm recognized primarily as a psychotherapist.
In how many cases before have you appeared as an expert psychiatric witness?
Oh, I've lost count. About 50 at a rough guess.
At the request of Mr. A, did you interview both Juliet Tomlin and the boy we call here Robin A?
Yes. I saw Robin 6 times in all. I thought it was necessary to see him more times than perhaps is usual.
Necessary for you to arrive at any conclusion?
No. I must make this absolutely clear. Understanding the mind is not and never can be an exact science. The most I can give you is an opinion.
Will you tell the jury, Doctor, what was your expert opinion of Robin A?
Well, I had some difficulty at first getting him to say anything much. I see you had the same problem here.
Go on, Doctor.
And he's a clever boy. His IQ is something above 140.
Ah, for the benefit of the jury, could you explain the term IQ?
Intelligence quotient. It's a measure of intelligence. If the average is 100, he's 40% above average. He has a good all-round mind with no significant imbalance intellectually.
Intellectually, what of his personality?
Fascinating. He has a problem. It's related to his age and the fact that he suffered some emotional deprivation. He's been short of love. Let me put the age problem another way. He may become an exceptional person, but at 15 there are all sorts of odd gaps, simply because he's never come across some idea or experience.
To what were you referring when you said he had been short of love?
No mother for most of his formative years. He was brought up by a strict father who withheld love if he misbehaved, and no mother to balance that.
So does Robin then relate to Miss Tomlin as a son?
Partly, as Miss Tomlin probably relates partly to him as a mother. He's at a biological age when it's natural for him to fall in love. But that love is a very complex need for friend, teacher, mother, lover, woman. For an emotionally deprived boy who needs to spit in his father's eye, it's a very powerful force.
And how would it affect his behavior towards Miss Tomlin?
Now, I expect he needs to see just how badly he can behave towards her and still be loved.
So then he might deliberately create situations to hurt or embarrass her in order to see if he was still lovable.
I doubt it would be conscious. He'd simply find himself inventing things. Everything's there. It's a perfect breeding ground for fantasies.
You're saying, Doctor, that because of his psychological state, he's liable to fabricate things?
Oh, yes, indeed. In the circumstances, he may well claim there had been intimacy between them, even if there hadn't.
The case of the Queen against Tomlin will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court.